Today at the top of your worksheet, you should see the questions. What changes do humans make to their environment? Why? And what is the impact of those changes? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today when we talk about human and environment interactions. Okay, we've talked about the environment when we talked about regions. Now we're going to add humans to the mix and talk about how they interact with each other. It's going to get interesting. And we're going to be able to answer these questions at the bottom. What do people do to change the land they live on? Why do they do it? Okay? Before we do that, we're going to review our regions real quick. All right, I brought a climate map to help us review how are the Southwest region and the Southeast region different. I see that the Southeast region has a lot of green on it, which means high amounts of rain. Southwest region has very little green, actually all red and brown, which means very little rain. So the Southeast region gets more rain than the Southwest. I also have a resource map that's going to show me some differences. I have this gray, which means gold and silver deposits in the West. And in the East, I have, looks like lumber and timber. So I must have many forests. This is going to become important when we talk more about how people use the land. Now let's jump into our topic for the day. Ways people impact the environment. These are changes that people make, and they all have an impact on the environment. So the first one is mining. Next one is clearing land and draining swamps. Next is drilling for oil. And next is building dams and levees. We're going to talk mostly about the first three today and a little bit about the next two tomorrow. So, mining. Mining means digging in the earth to reach the natural resources in the earth. So people dig mines to get coal and other minerals like gold, iron, and diamonds out of the ground. Coal can be used as a fuel. You can burn it for heat and it can be used as a fuel. Gold, iron, and diamonds, well, they all have different uses, and those are the different reasons that people get them out of the ground. The next change that people make to the land is they clear the land and drain swamps. So mostly you see clearing the land, but here in Louisiana, people also drain the swamps so they have room to build. New Orleans used to be much smaller because it was surrounded in swamps, but a lot of those swamps have been drained to make room for building. Now, why do people drain swamps and clear land? Well, here we have our answer. People clear land to build roads, farms, homes, and stores, all the things that they need in their community to survive. Now, many large businesses, like factories, actually cause a lot of pollution. So sometimes clearing the land can cause even more problems when you bring in businesses that cause a lot of pollution. And many large businesses cause a lot of pollution. This nasty picture shows the sewage, these chemicals being dumped into a river. It's so gross, I can't hardly look at it anymore. All right, so we're going to talk about farming, because farming is one of the main reasons people clear land. Farming is the main source of food. We all need food, so much of the land we clear is to make room for farms. Now, growing crops also takes water, so oftentimes we use what's called irrigation. Irrigation means using canals, ditches, and sprinklers to water crops. All right, another change we make is drilling for oil and gas. Now, people drill for oil to get fuel for cars and homes. People also build canals or waterways to transport the oil, to move it around once they have it. Now, how do these changes impact the environment? Let's look a little bit closer at each of these. So how does clearing land impact the environment? Well, when people clear land, the plants and the animals in that land die. The animals once lived in the trees and in burrows, and that's no longer there, and they lose their homes. And the plants are chopped down, and most of them die. How does drilling for oil impact the environment? Well, when people drill for oil and dig canals to transport that oil, coastal erosion occurs. Coastal erosion is when land is worn away by wind and water, and we're going to talk a lot about coastal erosion tomorrow. Now, how does drilling for oil cause coastal erosion? The drilling into the land weakens the earth. When the oil is gone, the land sinks. When the drillers build canals, they allow water to come in and wash away the weak land. And all these changes create erosion or loss of land. We're going to talk more about this tomorrow. But what we need to know today is drilling for oil causes coastal erosion. Now, we need to step back and ask why. So, people are doing these harmful things to the environment. Why? Well, people do sometimes harmful things to the land to get natural resources from it. These resources are sold or turned into products which products by workers to make money and run the economy. Only renewable resources can be taken from the earth without harming it. So when we look at a place like Louisiana and we wonder, why are we drilling for oil if it harms the land? Well, we have oil here. We're also a port next to the ocean where it's a great place to put it on a ship and send it anywhere in the country or the world and sell it for money. So a lot of people sell oil or work in the oil business to make their money, and it's their job. So that's one of the reasons they're willing to do things that are bad for the environment, because that's their job and they make money doing it. Same thing happens in areas where you have mines. Mines can also cause pollution and problems, but when people need their jobs, then people will dig in mines and cause those problems for money. All right, we'll talk more about coastal erosion and other changes to the land tomorrow.